Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Season 10, Episode 8 overall, 503rd episode of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, along with their great selection of all-electric vehicles and Cadillac vehicles as well. You can call the dealership at 519-824-0210 and tell them Chris Palme sent you. And you can email the dealership at info@barrycullen.com. Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership has been family run and operated here in Guelph since 1969, and yours truly has been a customer of Barry Cullen Chevrolet for the last 25 years. So please check out Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, who's been a major sponsor of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show for the last 2.5 years. I hope everyone's doing well on this Saturday, March 1st, 2025. I can't believe it's already March. And this is my 6th show in 6 days today. And I have another wonderful guest coming on. And this is going to be their first time on our show. And her name is Renee Percy. She's a comedian, actor, writer, ninja. We'll talk about her karate skills. And she's originally from Toronto. And she's also a winner of the Canadian Comedy Award and the Phil Hartman Award winner as well. And currently she is in London this weekend for a couple of shows at Yucks at, I believe, 300 King Street in London, Ontario. So we're going to bring on Renee Percy, and we're going to talk a little bit about her comedy career. Good afternoon.
Oh,
How are you?
Hi. I'm great. Welcome to my bedroom, or my hotel room.
How things in London, Ontario, which is only about an hour from Guelph?
It's snowing sideways here and super windy, and reminding me why I moved to Los Angeles.
I was going to say, how much of an adjustment was that going from Toronto or Canada to LA to the West Coast?
It takes about as long as it takes to get off the plane to adjust. You take your jacket off and you're like, I'm in LA. It's the adjustment coming back to Canada where you have to put back on all the layers that you're like, oh my gosh, it's freezing.
Were you in the area that was affected by the fires in January?
Yes. I mean, we didn't have to evacuate, luckily, but we were, kind of in the middle of all of them. So we were in the red flag zone, which meant like any moment we might have to evacuate, but we never actually had to. But we know a lot of people that not just evacuated, but did lose their homes. It was a scary start to the year, that's for sure.
Yeah, because I've had a few comedy guests and friends that were out there that had to evacuate, and I couldn't imagine going through that.
Yeah, it was a stressful time in LA. Yeah, we've gone through a lot lately, actually.
Hey, I was gonna say, I got to get out to LA one day because I have a lot of friends out there, and LA seems to be a hot market for the comedy industry.
Yeah, it's like the Super Bowl of comedy there. I mean, my goodness, the people I get to share a stage with there, it blows my Canadian mind every night. When it's just the best of the best. You're like, oh, it's Sebastian Maniscalco, Nikki Glazer, and Eliza Schlesinger, and me. Like, it's insane, the people I get to share a stage with. It's so fun.
What makes Canada such a great country for comedians and actors and musicians?
I think it's that we get a bit of an outside perspective. We have a similar culture, but we also have that outside perspective and can comment on it. And we also have a bit of that underdog syndrome too, which I think is a fun place to come from. And we also get to hone our craft in another country first and then go to America. Uh, yeah. So people are like, they're an overnight success, but they've been doing it in Canada for 30 years first. So we've got a great training ground here.
What are some of the difference from comedy in Canada or in Ontario specifically to the West Coast?
The differences in comedy, I mean, I think the comedy is fairly similar. I think just in general, we're a little bit more understated in Canada, and we're a little more self-deprecating and a little more inward. And in general, America is a little more boisterous and proud. So I guess that can it's a nice way of putting it, but can infuse the comedy as well.
I saw this on your bio, and I grew up obviously in the 70s and 80s. You were on DEGRASSI High, and you actually tried out for DEGRASSI Junior. What was that experience like? Because I met Pat and Stacy last year in
Yeah.
London for the first time.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, I did that show for 2 years when I was a kid. I was 12 and 13 when I was on that show, so that was my first foray into entertainment. But I did audition, I think, 3 years in a row before I finally booked it. And every year they said, if a younger part, because I was a bit younger than everybody, and they were like, as soon as a younger part arises, we'll let you know. And then finally, by the time I was 12, I looked a little bit older, so then I finally booked it. But yeah, I was 12 and 13 and I was playing high school, so I felt very cool. Only being in junior high, getting to play high school.
And when did you get into karate? Because I see you have a black belt in karate in that too. I think that's cool.
I love this because these are all things that I did so many years ago. But yeah, I was a black belt in karate. I started as a kid and I did it up until I went away to university, I guess. So maybe yeah, 15, 20 years, something like that. But then I don't know, I haven't done it in a million years, but they say once you have the belt, you always have it. But I wouldn't want to fight somebody now. I'd get my butt kicked.
When you were doing it at that age, how much did that help you with your confidence in going into acting in that at that time?
Doing karate, I mean, I think it's a
Yes.
great thing for discipline. My whole family did it. It was funny. My dad and my stepmom and my younger brother and sister at the time all did it. So it was just like what our family did, and it was fun because you had to be on guard all the time because it didn't matter where in the house you were. There was always somebody that could like try and attack you. So my dad used to love to try and like throw a punch when you're in the kitchen, and you'd be like making breakfast in the morning and have to be like, "Gah!" Like always ready to defend. So it was yeah, it was great. But it is good for discipline. It kept me out of trouble a lot. I mean, I went to a performing arts high school too, so I was very between that and then going to karate in the evening. I was very busy, so I wasn't, hanging around a mall and getting into trouble. I was at rehearsal or at karate or, when you have to do push-ups or and bow to people and show respect at a young age. Yeah, it kind of keeps you in line.
I have a viewer right now. His name is Rob Schneider. He's out of Buffalo. He has his own podcast show. He wants to ask you, Renee, how long have you been in comedy?
I would say, I mean, the first time I ever did stand-up comedy, I was 13 years old, and I did it when I was on Degrassi. In between seasons, they would do these workshops for the kids, and at the end of the workshop, there was a talent show, so that the writers and producers had an idea of how to write for us, just like they found out Drake could rap in the later episodes. So, so for the talent show, all the girls were doing like gymnastics routines and lip syncs. And for some reason, I had in my head I was going to do stand up comedy. So I tried it, and it was the scariest moment of my. I remember being backstage, contemplating breaking my arm in the door, thinking if I could break my arm, maybe they wouldn't make me go on. But I'm so glad I did because it was the first time I did it and I caught the bug, and I loved it. So I guess I've been in entertainment since then, since I was 12. But comedy, yeah, I guess that was the first time I got the taste or caught the bug for it.
Besides yourself, who were some of the other actors and actresses on that set that were quite funny at that time?
They were all quite funny. I mean, Pat comes to mind for sure. He was very funny. I didn't play a funny character. I didn't really play much of a character on that show. Uh, but yeah, they got a lot of the fun stuff. I did a lot more funny later. I used to think I was going to be an actor and I was going to go to Stratford and I was going to do all this stuff, but I always found myself doing the comedic role, even in a Shakespeare play. I toured Shakespeare's Twelfth Night around Europe, and I played Sir Andrew Aguecheek, and I wore size 42 pants, and I slicked my hair, and I had these suspenders, and I didn't. All the girls got flowers backstage afterwards for playing the pretty parts, and I didn't care about that. I just wanted to laugh on stage. So that's when I was like, I think I'm supposed to be doing comedy.
How much did comedy help with your acting career? Obviously, it's the entertainment industry.
I think they go hand in hand. I mean, I'm mostly a comedic actress, even though I went to theater. I mean, I went to Etobicoke School of the Arts as a drama major. I did an honors specialist degree in theater at U of T. I mean, I did a post grad in comedy and writing and performance at Humber College. I mean, I did all the training, but I don't know. How does comedy help? It helps. I mean, it helps because I like to be a comedic actress, but it also helps maybe not take things too seriously because it's a hard business. So you can just laugh it off when you do a million auditions and book nothing. So I don't know.
Renee, who were some of your early influences and mentors, and how much of an impact did your mom and dad have on you getting into the entertainment industry, since they were both into it as a musician and as a dancer?
Yeah, wow, you have done your research. Yeah, I mean, I think it helped having parents that were already in the arts in on one hand because I was exposed to it, but on the other hand, they were also didn't want me to necessarily go into the arts because they knew how hard it was. So they also pushed very hard for me to be a teacher or, get a real job. But that did not work out for me. I still followed in the path. Yeah, so it was nice having them in the industry, but also they were wary of it at the same time, for sure.
How important did they keep you grounded as a child actor as well?
I think it was kind of easy to stay grounded in Canada. I don't know. We don't really have a star system per se. And as a kid at 12 and 13, I mean, it wasn't like I was the star of that show. Nobody really knows who I am from it. So it wasn't hard to stay humble. It was a fun thing to get to do. Basically, I walked the halls and ate cookies at craft services. So that was what I did. And as a 12 and 13-year-old, it beat the heck out of working at the mall. So it was a great job.
What did you like the most about the 1980s growing up? Because I was born in the 70s, so I remember
Mm.
some of the 70s, but I just thought the 80s was such a fun time, and it was different than it is now.
Oh my God, it's so different. Well, I'm thankful we didn't have social media back then, that's for sure. We actually had to talk to people. We went outside, we played. Um, I don't know, like, I feel like there's a lot more scary things now. We probably had as many scary things, but we didn't know about them. I mean, the scariest thing was somebody in a panel van offering you candy. But now I feel like there's so many more things. You should just go outside and then you knew it was time to come home when the streetlights came on. So I don't know. I'm glad I grew up in that era. It was fun for sure.
I'm gonna put you on the spot here. What was your favorite music in the 80s?
In the 80s, I mean, I was pretty young in the 80s, but I liked hip hop as a kid. I remember like cutting the side of my pants open and adding more fabric so I could make them wider because they didn't make pants wide enough for me as a little B girl at the time. Um, and that was one thing that I actually got in a fight with the producers of Degrassi because of it, because I hated the clothes that they would put me in, and I always wanted to wear my B girl clothes, but they wanted me in a men's fedora and glasses, which was a nightmare for a kid who didn't actually wear glasses. So, um, yeah, so I guess it was that. I remember it's so funny. I was just singing Maestro Fresh West to my feature who's with me on this tour, and he's American, and he obviously had never heard of Maestro Fresh West. So
Do you have any musical ability yourself?
I do not, and I come from a very musical family, so I am the loser of my family in that regard. Yeah, my dad and my sister are both very musical, and I did not inherit that gene, unfortunately. I wish I did.
Same here. I tried karaoke once in New York about 6 years ago. I had a couple of
Mhm.
drinks in me. It was fun, but I emptied out the bar, and the guy said, "We're glad you're here, but please don't do it again." And I'm like, "I had
But
fun,
please
but
don't come back.
it was fun. I just don't have that talent, and I have so much respect for musicians."
Nothing terrifies me more than karaoke. That is my biggest fear in life. I mean, I can get on stage and tell jokes for hours. I don't care. People are like, "How did you stand up? Isn't that scary?" Karaoke to me is the scariest thing you could possibly do. Singing in front of people? No thanks.
Renee, when you were starting out, who were some of your favorite actors and actresses growing up?
um, I loved, I mean, I loved Lucille Ball and Carol Burnett and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I mean, any funny female to me was so cool to watch and get to see and think and see myself in them and think, "Oh my god, that's something that I could do." Um, yeah, and I got to see Carol Burnett live maybe 8 years ago. She was in LA, and it was really cool that she's still doing it. It was really cool to see live.
Growing up, obviously here in the Toronto area in the 70s, I don't know if you remember SCTV, but I used to watch that
Yeah,
as a kid and I loved it. You saw it, and what did you
of
think of
course.
the late John Candy, Joe Flaherty, Martin Short, Martin? I guess
Martin.
it was
Yeah.
great.
Well, Joe Flaherty was actually one of the teachers, when I went to Humber College, so I got to work with him there. Yeah, it was very exciting that that was such a Canadian thing. It was so cool. Um, and my dad was big into comedy. My dad loved that show, so I think that's how I got to watch it as a kid. Yeah. Yeah, sketch was a big part of my life for a long time. I was on, a sketch show in Canada called Comedy Inc. for 4 years. I mean, I loved as much as I do stand-up now pretty much exclusively, my background is sketch comedy. I loved it.
Thoughts on Joe Flaherty, obviously as a teacher, and did he have a little bit of an impact on your comedy career?
I only had one class with him, but, I remember thinking it was just really cool that he was there. Yeah, he taught us a sketch class, I think. It must have been sketch when I was at Humber. Um, and I think he might I don't know if he's still there, but he taught there for a while. Uh, yeah, it's weird that I don't remember much about the class, um, but yeah, I remember thinking that it was cool that he was there for sure.
Can you describe to my audience your comedy style? And for those people that are out watching the show live stream or on audio, and they're looking to get into comedy or the entertainment
Mm.
industry, what advice would you give them?
Oh, wow. Okay, those are 2 questions. The first one, how would I describe my comedy? I don't know. I'm quite physical and silly, so it's hard for me just sitting here. I normally like a whole stage and I throw myself around and I don't know. I'm physical and silly, I would say. Um, um, and then advice for people getting into the entertainment industry, I would say don't is my is the short answer. When people ask if they're like, "Oh, I think I'm funny. Should I do stand up?" Honestly, I will say no. I don't think you should do it. It's not a good career choice. It's not a financially sound decision to make. It's not on paper. It's not a viable career choice if you have other options. But I also say if you have to ask if you should do it, you probably shouldn't. You do it because you can't not do it. It's all you want to do. You do
Passion,
it for free. Yeah, you because
passion.
you will do it for free for a long time. And you do it even if somebody says you can't do it, you still do it. So it's not a decision per se. I know that sounds cheesy, but it's not something you decide to do. It's not like I'm going to go to law school and I'll be a lawyer. It's you do it anyway. You can't help but do it. It's all you want to do. So if you're if you just can't not do it, then you're doing the right thing.
That's sort of like what I'm doing here too. I started a new media career 5 years ago at the age
Mhm.
of 47, and I
Uh-huh.
was told you can't do
Wow.
it. You're too old. You can't do this. You're self-taught. And I've been on 2 radio stations, and I've been with the NFL and had so many media opportunities. So For me, it's passion and also your
Yeah.
mindset, because you're going to get people who support you and want you to
Hmm.
succeed, but you're going to get the haters and the skeptics and the naysayers. So, important mindset, passion, and also willingness to step out of your comfort zone too.
1000%. Yes. You have to be passionate about it, and you have to be able to take rejection, and you have to not listen to the naysayers, because yeah, everybody will, like me. I just said don't do it. But if you're still going to do it, then you should be doing it, you know? Yeah.
Any career you have and you don't have that passion, it's probably time to move on.
Well, absolutely. And I don't know, I count myself very lucky that this my career is also my passion. And not everybody gets that. And some people have a career and then they have their passion outside of that, and that works too. But um yeah, I am very lucky that the thing that I love to do most in life is also my career.
Have you thought about in the future, Renee, writing a book? Because your bio
Hmm,
is quite impressive with how many
thanks.
different hats you wear in the industry.
I thought about writing a book. I mean, maybe at some point, if anybody wanted to read it. I don't know. I have such a Canadian attitude of nobody wants to know about me, but I do teach stand-up comedy too, and so people have asked for that before. So maybe something to help people with stand-up. I'm not sure. At some point,
How
I'm
much do
open to
you
it. If you want,
go ahead?
oh no, I was gonna say, hey, if you're offering me a book deal, I'll take it. But yeah, I hadn't. It's not on the books yet.
How much do you like the teaching comedy aspect?
I love it, actually. I really do. I know they say if you can do, if you can't teach, but I do both. So I really I enjoy working with people, and I get almost just as much satisfaction out of helping somebody else with a joke and then watching it work as when it works for me. So, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I'm even more comfortable helping other people than I am helping myself. So I really
W-
enjoy it.
Would you recommend somebody who's interested in getting into this industry to take a comedy class?
I actually would. I mean, it depends. There's some bad comedy classes out there, but I don't believe those people that are like, you can't teach funny. You're either funny or you're not. I don't buy that at all. There's no other art form. You know, if you want to play the tuba, you're going to take lessons on how to play the tuba. Like it doesn't. I don't know why sometimes people think with stand up that you don't need to work at it or practice or rehearse or do any of the things that you do with any other art form. You know, if you're a dancer, you're going to go to dance rehearsal, you're going to go to dance class. Why would you go to dance class? You know, if you're going to, and it's just like any other writing form. If you're going to write a screenplay or you're going to write a haiku, they have very different rules and structures. So why not learn the basics of it? And then is there some of it that has to be natural? Sure, you have to have a natural funny bone, but it's not to say I can take somebody in 5 weeks, and even if they're not funny, I can teach them the structure of how to write a joke, and then they will be able to say words in an order that will sound like a joke that will elicit laughter. So, does it mean they're gonna make it as a career? Who knows? But, it's not to say that the basics of comedy can't be taught, and especially stand-up. It has its own rules and structures just like any other writing form. So, I think absolutely taking a class. And it's a great, comfortable, safe environment to try it out in too. Because stand up is very scary, just walking into a dark club and standing up in front of people and talking is terrifying to most people. So why not try it in a safe environment first?
Have you experienced it when you first started or seen it in other comedians when somebody can be funny around their friends and family, but when they get up on the
Mhm.
stage, they have stage fright and they just kind of, I guess, shrink from the spotlight?
1000%. And honestly, most of the stand-ups I know aren't all that funny off stage. They're not the class clown, the funny person in their group. Stand-ups are quiet and shy and introspective. We're watching, we're observing. And then when we're on stage is where we shine and be funny. It's often like my husband, when I'm out with my husband, he's much more gregarious than I am. So when people find out I'm the stand-up, they're like, "You're the stand-up?" But he's funny in a group, he's loud and boisterous, but it's a different thing getting on stage and doing it. And sometimes it's like when it's your job, you don't feel like you need to do it all the time. You just do it when you're at work. Like if you're a plumber, you're not running around plumbing things when you're not at work. It's not to say that I'm not funny off stage, but I don't need to prove it all the time because I do it at night.
Do you have any rituals or superstitions before a live performance, Renee?
Rituals or superstitions. Sometimes I do, I guess. If I have an outfit and I have a bad set in that outfit, I can't wear that. I'm like, I can't wear that outfit again on stage. I don't know. I'll blame the outfit, or it'll have like a weird like feeling to me. I'm like, oh, I can't wear that again. Or I will try and wear it and have a great set so that I could erase that if I really like that outfit. I'm like, damn it, I wanted to wear that outfit again. So maybe that's a silly one. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's it.
So before a live performance, do you like to get there like maybe 1 or 2 hours early to set up and just get
Oh
yourself
God, no.
focused on that event?
No, that's way too long. That's too much time to panic and freak out about it. I do like to go maybe like 20 minutes early or so and get a feel for the room and the people and who's there. And, if there's other comics on the show, meet them. But no, I like to be by myself before a show or in my hotel room working on stuff. And then, because once you're in the club, yeah, you're kind of on no matter what. Like, you're not going to be sitting there working on your jokes or thinking at that point. You got to talk to people, and yeah, it's not your time anymore.
Do you prefer to open up or be in the middle or at the end? And what was it like to open up for Jay Leno and Michael Rapaport and Yakov Smirnoff, who I remember from Night Court, a TV show in the 80s?
Oh, yeah.
Legendary comedian.
Was he on Night Court too?
He made some guest appearances on Night Court,
Oh,
the
okay.
original one,
Yeah, that
the original good one from the 80s.
Right. It's amazing. I mean, like I said, a lot of the people I get to work with in LA, it's just mind blowing. It's not. I mean, sometimes I'm like, it's not because necessarily I'm all that special. It's just because I happen to be in LA and that's where these people are. So I worked with Jay again 2 weeks ago. I mean, just because we were both at the Improv that night and we were on the same show. So, or I was hosting the show and he was on it. So, and as a stand-up, if you can host as well, that's another great skill to have because then you get to meet all the comedians on the show. Instead of when you have a spot, you do your spot and then you leave. When you're the host, everybody has to talk to you. So it's a great way to get to meet all those people too. So yeah, it's been that's pretty amazing. My favorite person, I mean, for a while I was featuring for Arsenio Hall, so that was fun for me after growing up watching him as a kid too.
Do you ever kind of revert when you meet these people? Do you kind of like revert back to being a teenage kid again?
I try not to. It's weird when you're in the green room, you're just all comics, and you're up next and then me, and then you're all doing the same thing. So it's, part of my brain is like, we're colleagues. And then the other part of my brain is like, holy shit, I can't believe who it is. So, but you do kind of get more used to it being around it a lot in LA, and you realize they're just regular people trying to do the same thing. So yeah. And I would say of Jay Leno, of all of them, he is like a true comedian. He is out probably more nights a week than I am doing stand up, and he is still on the road and he's still doing it and hanging out in the clubs and in the green rooms and just slogging away. And he doesn't have to, you know what I mean? He does it because he genuinely loves it. I mean, he was supposed to do 20 minutes the other night and he did 47. We just couldn't get him off stage. It's like, don't you want to go home?
It's like your adrenaline.
Or whatever.
It's like an adrenaline kickoff. And it's like with my work too. I'm not comparing my work to Jay Leno's, but there's some days where I'm like tired or I'm not 100%. But as soon as I go on air with my guests, I love it. And this is why I like doing what I'm doing, is the storytelling aspect of it and the learning aspect. And it's just like with comedy too. It's just something you love to do.
It's a drug. It is an absolute drug. And I can see it in people like him that don't have to. That's why I say, should I do comedy? The answer is no. Because when you look at somebody like Jay Leno, who's 78, I don't know, 6, I don't want to get it wrong, but he's still doing it and he doesn't have to. He, or he could just take the good gigs and take his private plane and, do the gigantic theaters, but he's still at Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank, California, doing his hour every Sunday because he wants to. It's just it is an addiction, and but a healthier one than it's either that or meth. It is, comedy is my meth.
And one piece of advice I was given too is no matter what career you go into, be yourself, because people can tell when you're not. And also Flappers, I got to know Flappers back during the pandemic when everything was shut down. And I had some friends who did some live streaming performances from Flappers. Obviously, it's not the same as in studio, but this technology did get us through those 2 years of the pandemic.
Oh, absolutely it did. Yeah, Flappers was my home club for a long time, actually. I used to teach there and I worked there a lot. Yeah, that's how I worked with Jay the first time, was at Flappers.
I was also reading your bio too. I love to do my homework on all my guests as well. Yeah. And I think that's impressive that you've done over 70 commercials in Canada and the States. And I'm going to put you on the spot here. Which ones were specifically your favorite commercials that you shot?
Oh man, that's a hard one to answer. I have done a lot. They've definitely slowed down in recent years because commercials are not as big of a thing anymore. But in 2019, I got to do a commercial with Amy Poehler, which for me was pretty cool as a big SNL fan. And, her and Tina Fey and Kristen Wiig and that whole generation of SNL women are kind of my heroes. So that was pretty cool for me. That was a fun one for me. The only thing was they let me improvise at one point, but they wrapped her because she had to leave. So they shot all her stuff and then she left, and then they turned the camera around and then shot all my stuff. And I improvised with like a C stand with a little X on it that was her. So it wasn't as, when you see the commercial, it looks like we are talking to each other, but all my scenes I'm actually talking to a C stand. But that was a fun one. I did a Chevy commercial with Santa Claus that was a big one in the US for a while, and that was fun, just getting to work with Santa Claus. And then in Canada, I guess it's not that recent, but I was for Intact Insurance. I was like the Intact Insurance lady. And it was great because I got to go to Montreal and shoot, and they cast one of my oldest friends in it too. So we got to hang out in Montreal. So the whole experience was just fantastic. But commercials are fun. They're like doing you generally, not always, but a lot of the time I mostly did comedic ones. So they were like little sketches for me. It was so fun.
Do you have time for 5 more minutes or a couple more questions? I just wanted to play your Winnipeg Comedy Festival, and then we'll wrap it up with promoting your upcoming show tonight in London.
Sounds good. Now, let me just let you know that Winnipeg Comedy Fest thing that you're going to show is not stand-up comedy. That was like an old characters gala they did. So that was a random character that I did. But speaking of the Winnipeg Comedy Fest, I am going back to shoot the gala, one of their stand-up galas, May 1st. So I'll be back in Winnipeg at the Winnipeg Comedy Fest. And this is the last time I did it. And this is probably 10 years ago.
And I just put it down here, your upcoming shows on my little ticker here as well for the audience.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. We'll play the video and then we'll promote your big show tonight at Yuck Yucks in London at 300 King Street in London.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Renee. Just let me know if you can hear the audio. I wear all the hats on this show, so just give me 1 second.
Okay.
Frank, it's Wendy. This is my 12th message, and I'm starting to get the feeling you're not calling me back. Just on set and wanted to let you know if you're not home by 5 o'clock, I'm putting your South Park collection on eBay. What's that, Travis? We're back. Okay. We've started? Okay, just 1 second. We're live. Hi there. Wendy Wasserman here in the 18th hour of the home shopping channels. You can't take it with you, but you can make your friends jealous with it now marathon. I am about to introduce you to a revolutionary new stain removal product that is going to change your life. Now I know what you're thinking. Wendy, another stain removal product? How is this different? Well, let me paint you a little scenario. Your deadbeat husband goes away yet again on another one of his little business trips, even though you both know he lost his job 5 years ago. What's that? No, I don't have to talk about my husband. Okay, fine, I won't. Don't want to anyway. Okay. Let me paint you another scenario, okay? After 3 bottles of Chardonnay, you drunk dialed your ex-boyfriend from grade 6 to tell him that the night he kissed you under the bleachers was still the best night of your life. Even though he then denied it, but that you still love him. After he yells, "Stop calling me. I can't remember who you are, you crazy, crazy bitch." What's that? Can't say that? Okay, my bad. Sorry. Yes. You crazy, crazy whore face. What, even worse? Got it. Okay. Yeah, I'm drinking, Travis. Deal with it. You then order yourself flowers from a secret admirer in the hopes that you can trick yourself, even just for a minute, into believing you're not so goddamn lonely. When the flowers arrive, you say their condolences because you're dying. And your final wish is to make passionate love to a flower delivery man. After slipping him a 50 and a Quaalude, he concedes. And what conspires results in a sticky mess of rose petals, tears, and splooge. All over your genuine fake leather couch. Whoops. But with just a few sprays of Oops Be Gone. It's like it never happened. And you are free to make the same mistake over and over and over again without ruining your couch. You cut me off, Travis, and I will kill you. Order now, and you will get the amazing magic eraser, which I invented, absolutely free. How many times have you woken up to your teenage daughter with a butcher knife in your face screaming, "You ruined my life!" Who wants that on their conscience, you know? But with just a few huffs of magic eraser, infectious pathogens gently mutilate your memory cells, essentially erasing the event from your mind. No memory of the event, no guilty feelings of telling your daughter she was a horrible, horrible mistake, and almost no side effects. It's as easy as 1, 2. Ouch. Join me next week while I'll introduce you to a revolutionary new memory-destroying product called Magic Eraser. Until then, I'm Wendy Wasserman saying, keep it together, okay?
Thank you so much for letting me use that clip from your YouTube channel and from your website, Renee, Percy.com, I believe.
Yeah, reneepercy.com. But most of my upcoming shows are in my story on Instagram, and I got lots of stuff posted there. It's Renee Percy Comedian.
I apologize for keeping you over 40 minutes, but we'll wrap this up
No
really
worries.
quickly. Okay.
Uh-huh.
You definitely have an open invite to come back again for part 2 because
Thank you.
there's some
Okay.
other questions I'd like to get for you. But can you just
You got
tell
it.
my audience about your upcoming tour and obviously your show tonight and any more plans to do any more shows in Ontario this summer possibly?
Yeah, I've got one more show tonight, London, Ontario, at the Yuck Yucks at 7:30 p.m. tonight. If you can brave the weather, actually it looks better out right now. And then this week, I moved to on Monday, Tuesday, I'll be in Petoskey, Michigan. That's my feature, Dwayne White. He's super funny. Gosh, and then where am I? I don't in Ontario. I don't know. I will be back for the Winnipeg Comedy Festival. That's not Ontario, but at least Canada. I think that's May 1st, and I just did the Yuck Yucks in Toronto in June, so I'm not sure. I don't have any other Canadian dates as of yet, but yeah, but stay in touch with me on Instagram. If there's anywhere people want me to come, let me know, and I'll try and book shows. Hey, speaking, I didn't even get to mention, I went to University of Guelph.
Did not know that.
Yeah,
Well,
I did for 2 years before I moved back to Toronto.
and finally,
Yeah.
what's one quick fun fact about yourself, and where can my audience follow you on social media? The best way of reaching you on social media.
The best way is Instagram for sure. Renee Percy Comedian. Yeah, it's right there. That's the best way. I'm very responsive on it if you want to message me. Yeah, fun fact about me. The fun fact is usually that I have the 2nd degree black belt in karate, but now we've already let the cat out of that bag. Yeah, what else? I love a good games night. That's my other fun fact.
Well,
I love a good games night.
Well, Renee, I want to say thank you so much for coming on here today, and you have an
Yeah,
open
thanks for
invite to
having
come
me.
back. And if I had a
Thank
little
you so
more
much.
time, if I had a little more time today, I would definitely make the drive up to London. So the next time you're in this area, just give me a heads up notice. I would love
You got it.
to see you perform as well. The world right now needs more comedy, or comedians especially.
Agreed.
We'll leave it at that. But I want to say thank you
Perfect.
so much for coming on here today, and I will send you the
Thank you.
video and the audio later. And have a great
Wonderful.
show tonight in London, and continued
Thank
success,
you.
Renee.
Thank you so much. And the last thing
Thank-
I just want to mention, I just forgot, my special is on Amazon Prime and Apple TV called The Comic Sutra. You've got a picture of it in the background.
And you have one that you just filmed in Australia with Jim Jeffries, I believe.
Yes, that one has not come out yet. I don't know when that's. They said this spring, so I don't know. Hopefully that'll come out soon.
Okay, well, maybe we'll have you back on in the next month or two, and
Sounds
we'll
good.
talk a little more about that. But have a great rest of the
Sounds good.
day, and have a great
Thank you
show
so
tonight.
much.
Thanks, Renee.
Nice to meet you.
You
Take
too.
care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, that wraps up season 10, episode 8, overall 503 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Automall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, along with their all-electric vehicles and their Cadillac vehicles as well. You can call the dealership at 519-824-0210 and tell them Chris Palme sent you. And you can, and Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership has been family run and operated here in Guelph since 1969. And again, I've been a customer of theirs for 25 years. Speaking of Barry Cullen Chevrolet right now, it's wintertime, or it's getting to the end of wintertime, and you know how tough winters can be on your car batteries. Well, right now at Barry Cullen Chevrolet, your go-to service center, they will do a free battery check. That's right, a free battery check. And if you happen to need a new battery, they will throw in a $20 instant rebate on a new 12-volt AC Delco battery. So get a peace of mind. Go to Barry Cullen Chevrolet, get your batteries tested, and have a peace of mind on the roads. And if you happen to need a new battery, they will give you a $20 instant rebate again on an AC Delco quality battery. So barrycullen.com for more details on that as well. And again, my guest, Renee Percy. She is performing tonight at Yuck Yucks Comedy Club at 300 King Street in London, Ontario. I really wish I could have been there tonight. She performed there last night, and she's there as well. And more of her upcoming shows are on my ticker as well. And please check out her website, reneepercy.com. And she's also on Instagram as well as YouTube. So she's really quite talented. She's done a little bit of everything in the entertainment industry. And it was really cool to talk to somebody that was on DEGRASSI High too, because I grew up in the late 70s and 80s with that TV show as well. And I think that was cool and stuff. So we'll definitely try to get Renee to come back on for part 2 in the future as well. And I want to say thank you to everyone watching this live streamed on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X or Twitter, whatever they call it, and Instagram. And also thank you to everybody for listening to this show on my audio platforms as well. And I'm also looking for more sponsors to come aboard this show. If you have a business and you would like to advertise it on Live with CDP Sports Entertainment Talk Show, the Argo Bounce podcast show with myself and Nick Small, or the Small Talk podcast with myself and my co-host Marlene Sharp, please email me at cpame19@gmail.com. And my prices are more reasonable than traditional radio stations. So if you're looking to advertise, check out Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. And we had some more questions here too. Steve, sorry I was late to this. No problem, Steve. Thank you for coming on. You guys live in Canada. I currently live in Canada, but my guest right now is out on the West Coast, and I'm out in the Toronto area. And let's see, shout out to Eric Weber, Midnight Movie Talk Stream. Okay, I don't know anything about that. And then Steve, I wish I could too. I personally would like to travel more and see more shows. It's hard with work. Absolutely. And I will be back. We are about the same age. I'm going to be 53 this year, but you know what? I tell everyone out there, age is just a number, and life experience and life skills are just as important. And one thing doing media work and radio work, I've worked with people that are in their early 20s. I've worked with people that are in their 70s and 80s. And I really love the diversity of age. And everybody in the radio and the media industry, no matter their age, they have not judged me based on my age. They're judging me based on the quality of my work. So anyways, one last question from Steve. Thank you for watching, Steve. And Robbie Schneider from Buffalo, New York. He has a podcast show called the 716 Sports Blizzard Podcast. Please subscribe and like. Robbie's a big sports fan, Steve. And last comment, I'm just wondering, I'm wondering follow fan. I'm afraid I don't own a business. I'm an Air Force vet. Much respect to you, Steve. And thank you so much for coming on here today. And before we wrap up the show again, guys, if you're in the London, Ontario area tonight, 7:30, Yuck Yucks Comedy Club at 300 King Street in London, Ontario. Renee Percy will be headlining their show tonight, and then she will be off. I think she's got some more shows I've got here on the ticker as well. She is all over the place. She has performed comedy in 16 countries around the world, and she's also opened for guys like Jay Leno, and she's also performed in front of Jimmy Kimmel as well. So check out reneepercy.com. She's also on Instagram and her YouTube channel as well. And before we wrap up the show, guys, tonight, I want to say thank you again to Wellington Brewery for coming aboard my show for 4 months. And please consider supporting Wellington Brewery, a local Canadian craft brewery that's been open since 1985. So please check them out. And I got some other news to make as well before we wrap up the show, guys. My next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again, sponsored by BarryCullen.com, Monday, March 3rd, at 7:30 p.m. Eastern with my special guest, Brent Carty, who's a friend of mine. He's a podcaster out of London, Ontario, and he's a media personality. So we're going to talk about his podcast show. He's looking to write his own book, and he also does some media coverage for the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. So we'll talk to Brent about podcasting, sports, and the start of Major League Baseball. And Brent is a huge Toronto Blue Jays fan and is involved with the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame like I am as well. So Monday, March 3rd, 7 o'clock, 7:30, Brent Carty. And then Tuesday, March 4th at 7 p.m., I have a Canadian broadcasting icon coming on. He's now free. He was CTV and TSN for many years and the voice of the Toronto Raptors and the Canadian Football League, and a friend of mine, and he does a great job with the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame ceremonies. Rod Black will be on Tuesday, March 4th at 7 o'clock, and Rod's going to talk a little bit about his involvement with the Inter-County Baseball League's Toronto Maple Leafs and his involvement with the Canadian League Basketball League as the play-by-play voice of the Scarborough Shooting Stars as well, and with the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame as well. And we'll talk a little CFL with Rod Black as well, who does a great Mike Pinball Clements impression as well. So Monday, 7:30, Brent Carty. Tuesday, 7 o'clock, Rod Black. And again, I want to say thank you to everyone who has come on my show as a guest for 503 episodes over 5 years. And again, thank you to Barry Cullen Chevrolet for being my main sponsor. And again, to Wellington Brewery for coming aboard my show for the last 4 months as well. But please support Wellington Brewery, 950 Woodlawn Road West in Guelph, Ontario. And I've got some more comments here. And I think it's Steve. Okay, Steve Jordan Peterson, don't know who he is. And also, have a great day. Thank you so much. Steve, thank you so much for watching. And please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. And I will be back on air on Monday night at 7:30 and then Tuesday at 7 o'clock. For those people watching and you have a unique story that you'd like to share on Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, or my other entertainment show called the Small Talk Podcast with Marlene Sharp and myself, please email me at cpame19@gmail.com. I'd love to have you on my show. All my shows are diverse with guests and topics as well. And as we wrap up this show, guys, as always, I do this as always, you can now follow me on Blue Sky. Yes, I have joined Blue Sky Social, which is a newer form of Twitter, and it's at Live with CDP19. So look for me on Blue Sky at Live with CDP19. If you're in the Guelph, Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge area and you're looking to adopt a pet, check out the Cambridge District Humane Society, 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario, 519-623-7722, extension 0, or visit their website at cambridgehumanesociety.org. All the animals that are up for adoption, their profiles are on cambridgehumanesociety.org. And if you're looking to volunteer like myself, I do dog walking twice a week from there. Go on cambridgehumanesociety.org and fill out a volunteer application form. And also they're doing a quarterly, monthly 50-50 draw. Half the money goes to the winner, half the money goes to the Cambridge Humane Society and their programs. And you can get a ticket and support the local animals at the Cambridge District Humane Society. And they all do a wonderful job in looking after our furry friends down there and getting them adopted into good homes with good families as well. So if you're looking to adopt, don't shop. Check out the Cambridge District Humane Society, again, at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, or their website, cambridgehumanesociety.org. I've been with them now for over a year, and I think they do wonderful work with our furry friends as well. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again, is live streamed on these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram. And please remember to hit subscribe and follow. You can check out my website at beacons.ai/Chris D. Pame. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again, is brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com. Guys, I'm now back on TikTok. You can follow me on TikTok at Chris Pame, my new page. Long story, I lost my other page at 5 years, so I am back on TikTok at Chris Pame, and hit follow. And I post a lot of content on TikTok, so check me out on TikTok at Chris Pame on TikTok as well. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. If you're into webinars or podcasting, check out StreamYard.com. They have basic free plans or paid professional plans like I do. And if you're a company, a business that does a lot of webinars or live streaming for your business, StreamYard.com and contact their sales department for pricing. And I've been with StreamYard now for over 4 years, thanks to my friend Jamie Pegley, the Philly sports guy, who helped me with my podcast talk show a number of years ago. So StreamYard.com for your live streaming services. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. The audio versions available on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, Tuned In, YouTube Music, and Good Pods. Please subscribe and hit the like notifications to the audio version of this show as well. Finally, you guys can email the show Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show at cpame19@gmail.com. Any comments, questions, suggestions, feedback would be greatly appreciated. And also, guys, I'm on PayPal. If you'd like to support my radio and my media work, you really like it, I'm on PayPal at cpame19@gmail.com. And also, I joined Cameo a year ago. If you'd like a personalized video from yours truly, CDP, click on cameo.com, type in Chris Pame, and book your Cameo today, and I'd be happy to send one out to you. Any kind of shout out, birthday talk, birthday greetings, pep talk, or you want to know about my media work and my talk show, look for me on cameo.com. And again, I'm on all social media platforms, everywhere except for Snapchat. Look me up there, and I'm also on LinkedIn if you'd like to add me on LinkedIn. And yeah, that's about it, guys. I just finished my sixth show with 7 guests in 6 days, and I want to say thank you to all my guests this week for coming on, and again to Renee Percy, who is a comedian, actor, coach, writer, and a ninja with her karate, black belt in karate, for coming on here today. We're going to try to get Renee Percy back on our show again in the future for part 2. And that's about it. And I want to say thank you to Barry Cullen Chevrolet for coming aboard this show as well. I hope everybody has a great Saturday afternoon, great weekend, and we'll see you back here Monday night at 7:30 with my special guest and friend, Brent Carty. And we're going to talk a little bit about Major League Baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays, and his podcast show that he started up 10 years ago as well. Have a great weekend, everybody, and thanks for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet here in Guelph.